Hello, hello, hello. This is Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman. I am Adeoluwa, and I started the Musings of the Sanguine Christian Woman, the podcast, on Anchor. So if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more, or even across all social media platforms with your friends, on any of the social media you're on. It's everything you need to make a podcast, that is Anchor, in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Okay, hello. This is another episode. Welcome to the Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman. I am Adeoluwa, and I just left a space on Twitter. Just concluded, and this has been a talking point for me for a while, and something that I discuss with people, and is a talking point all over the place, really. And it's about how much of your past should you talk to your spouse about. And it took a different dimension in the Twitter space, because that was not the topic, really. But for me, this is how I saw it. Now, when I joined the space, it was about a man who was, the topic was about racism and, the plight of Black people in a systemic, in a system that is constructed against Black people, that is also called like whiteness. And the host of the show was clear about there being a difference between whiteness and white people. That white people and whiteness are not the same thing. White people are people. They are people. But whiteness is a construct, a concept of lauding supremacy by virtue of being white over other races and colors, over people of color. Now, that was the topic. And obviously, somebody was listening. And of course, when it comes to issues like this, you have people whose feelings get hurt, especially people who, have white friends, white people as friends, or as family members. And apparently the guy speaking was like, we should be careful what we say, because we might push off allies, white people who might actually see our plight, the plight of Black people, and actually, join in solidarity against a system that seems wired against Black people. And the host was just not apologetic about that, because obviously the man was married to a white woman, and I think she was listening, and she felt a certain way, and he felt he had to defend his wife. And I think that was just the wrongest place and the wrongest time to do that. Because if you are going to go on a space where people are talking about how to stop getting killed for next to no reason, sometimes with little or no reason, like even if there is a reason, a Black person does it and they're shot dead, but a white person does it and they're escorted to prison, to trial in one piece. You get? So, when you face issues like that, you cannot keep ignoring that. And then when they're talking about people being killed, you are here talking about the feelings of your wife being hurt. Like, dude, we're talking about life and death situation here. The people that we're having this conversation about, who formed the basis on which this conversation against racism is about, they're not alive to feel hurt. Your wife is fine and alive to feel hurt, and I don't know why she's hurting. Black people are not having a carnival here. They're not having a carnival on this. I mean, if we talk about people's feelings being hurt, it's black people whose feelings are getting hurt. It's just that when you're tired of crying, the way you speak is very, very aggressive. And I'm almost close to tears, just recalling a few cases of people just being shot dead, and all they say is, well, they thought he was armed or she was armed. And I'm like, you killed someone, shot them multiple times because you thought they were armed. But a white person who is armed, caught in the act, manages to make it to trial. You look, if the same measure at which things are being made against black people is the same measure that is given to every other person, there will still be complaints, but it would be a human topic, a case of a human race topic or human rights topic, rather than a case of Black Lives Matter topic. And the man was like, my wife's wife was hurt. I mean, you have to be careful how you speak. We don't want to push people away. And I had to respond because the space was over, and I saw his comment on Twitter, and I had to respond. I said, perhaps, and that is where I'm going with this, perhaps if you had educated your wife about the realities of black people, she probably will be the one holding this kind of spaces. Because I know one white lady, she's German. She's married to an Igbo man, a Nigerian Igbo man. She has children. But you would think she was black because she's always like, she's always talking about the problem of white supremacy. And I think the reason she can talk about it is because she's aware of the reality. Like she says, she goes out with her husband and she sees the way they treat her husband. And she looks at her children and she's like, look, her children will not have the same privileges that she has. Like she was made painfully aware of her privileges as a white woman. That it's painfully aware it's painfully aware for her that she's a white woman, because her children are not given the same kind of treatment, same kind of regard as she is given. Like, if it was happening to someone else, it might be, oh, you're just being oversensitive. But she's the one going through it. She's a mother, and she's like, I don't want this. Y'all should stop treating black people like how you treat bad people. Like, just stop it. She dedicated her whole YouTube channel to talking about the ills of white supremacy. That is one white woman there. Now, I don't know whether she educated herself or her husband educated her. But if your wife's feelings are hurt, then she should get educated and not just see you as just a human being. That's cute. But there's more to life and what is going on around us than just someone being human being. If you're black, you're going to face racism. I don't even know anywhere you won't face racism. You face racism everywhere. Everywhere. A woman was called, like there was a call for resignation for a woman who said, who in the same statement as a black child, she used monkey. And the child's father is white. So in other words, the father's privilege does not even protect his son. Can you imagine? These are realities. It's ridiculous, but it's not funny because these are things that are costing people their lives almost on a daily basis. And here is the thing I want to talk about, the past right here. Like some people want to forget that they ever had a past, or they ever had that there is something in their life that could be a problem. They don't want to talk about it because they don't want to seem like they are too absorbed in themselves. But you see, you are doing your spouse or the person you're going to marry a great disservice if you don't let them know the realities of your life. At the end of the day, a lot of times what we consider the past is present continuous. That's the truth. It's something that we are living with. It's been on from the past, but it's something we are living with. Because, see, hiding your past from the person you're going to marry is like a woman who refuses to tell her husband or her husband to be that she menstruates and that she has menstrual pain because she doesn't want to talk about it. But it will come up one day. It will come up. If you start to bend over in pain, you start to bloat, you feel uncomfortable, and the man has no clue why you are that way. We have to educate the person we are going to be with on the realities of who we are. And that's besides race right now. Besides that. Like I responded to the man who said his wife who was white was feeling hurt by what she was hearing. It's a hurtful situation, so obviously anybody will be hurt. But why is she hurting though? And I said, well, there are white men married to black women who have to defend their wives and their children from these same subjects we are talking about here. From this issue of white supremacy. Because they have to. They watch their sons or their daughters being treated a certain way. They hear the hurtful statements being made against their wives. And they get defensive. A lot of people don't know about these things until they marry. Look, this is what I think. Before I just want to state the point so you understand where I'm coming from. As far as I'm concerned, if you cannot discuss your past, your issues, the present continuous issues, the issues you have, the problems you have, be it mental, be it emotional, be it social, be it political, and you cannot talk to your spouse about these things, you cannot explain it to them, then maybe you shouldn't be marrying them, because you have to be able to trust someone to talk. Like, you have to be, if you can't open up to them naturally, like, look, this is I know that this doesn't matter to you, I realize that, but this is what has happened, this is how I felt about it, and this is how I still feel about it. That way, when something comes up that triggers you, your spouse will understand, and they'll be able to be there for you the way they need to. Why put yourself in a position where you cannot even count on your spouse to be your support system in your time of distress, or when you're having a PTSD on something? You can't even count on your spouse to support you. You're doing yourself a great disservice, because everybody has their kind, no matter how problematic you might think you are. Look at it from this angle. Crocodiles have their own pair too. Reptiles, the most dangerous ones, they have their own pair. They have it male, they have it female. Alligator has male and he has female. And any other wild animal you want to think of. That is why they still exist. Because they have somebody who is like them, who gets them, they can continue breathing with. So if dangerous wild animals have their own pair, why would you think you are so, I don't know, whatever it is you think you are, that you cannot find your own pair? It doesn't necessarily mean that you find somebody with the same past as you, no. But when you are comfortable enough to open up to somebody about things that you normally don't think about anymore, that you choose not to think about them, and then you open up and then you share, you can talk about issues of the past, and the person is listening, and the person is, crying with you when necessary, consoling you. There is something healing about that. Some of us are not healing completely because we married somebody we didn't trust with our past. So if you cannot trust someone with your past, don't get with them at all. Truly. Because you will transfer some of that pain. You see that pain that you're supposed to shed, based on the fact that you trust somebody else with it, you are going to pass it to the next generation, which is your children. And then they'll start acting out like you do without going through that experience, because of the residue of the pain that you have not let out. There are some things that you will heal. You have to heal with your spouse. You have to heal with the person you love. So if you cannot even open up to them to let them know this has been a painful point for you, and you do have PTSD, and when I say PTSD, I don't mean the severe type. There is mild PTSD, there is medium, and there is severe PTSD. If as a woman you were abused as a child, every time you hear that a child is being abused, you will remember what you went through. That, sister, is PTSD. You remember, you will not forget. You remember, you feel a certain way. You either feel angry, you either feel upset, you either start to cry, or you might just kind of go blank, or all of the above. But if you make sure and you see to it that you pair yourself with somebody who you are comfortable talking about the pain in your past with, the pain you're going through, like when you're uncomfortable, whatever you've been uncomfortable with, you're comfortable talking to them about this, and you find a certain level of peace and comfort doing that, You will heal. And then you fight it. You fight that pain together. You're not supposed to carry the burden of your past by yourself, especially one that is something you might have to live with. Even if it's not something you have to live with, marry somebody who is comfortable with your past, because your past is part of you. If you remove your past from who you are right now, you will be a different person, a completely different person with a different outlook, different perspective, different experience. If they cannot deal with it, that's fine. They weren't meant for you, and that's okay. It means they're not the one. Keep looking, keep praying, keep waiting. The right one will come, that you will slay dragons together, or tame dragons, depending on which fits what the most. Is it that you tame the dragon or slay the dragon, whichever it is. Well, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. And they that know their God, they shall be strong and they shall do exploits. Embrace the peace that Jesus brings to you. Just let him in. Let him in. So that he can heal you and bring peace to your soul.